Dark Souls Remastered is a difficult game, especially if you're like me, who's not very good at the game to begin with. If you are like me, you've probably done all you can to make it easier for yourself, like leveling up your soul level, using titanite on your best weapons, attuning your best sorceries and miracles, and even ascending your pyromancy flame to combust everything to death. But if you are new, and you are bad, listen up. Here are things you can do to make Dark Souls Remastered easier. Now, before I go into this run, I will say that I am playing Dark Souls Remastered on my PC, but everything can be done on a console or any handheld consoles. I'm going to present this video in a somewhat chronological order, but I will leave timestamps for everything in case you just want to skip to one area or another. And for the sake of it, I won't be taking the master key, as it's literally the fastest route to have an easy playthrough, as there's no need to play the beginning portion of the game. The build I'm going to be running is based off this one, by Yumfa, as I felt it was only right for my first ever YouTube video to pay proper homage to one of my absolute favourite Souls YouTubers of all time. And Miyazaki was absolutely tripping balls when he was making magic for this game. However, everything I'm going to present can be done on any build. Also, as stated previously, I'm not going to take the master key, but instead black firebombs, as you can use them here, in the asylum. You can kill the asylum demon with only 5 black firebombs. This is a speedrunning strat, but it's incredibly easy to pull off. All you need to do is, once you've opened the door, is head towards this pile of bricks. Once you reach the bricks, place yourself towards the door and throw 3 black firebombs. Attempt to roll, horribly, and throw 2 more firebombs to kill the asylum demon early. Because you've killed the demon early, Oscar will now give you the Estus flask.
Oh, and this.
And the big pilgrim's key. Any clerics or mages, don't forget to pick up your talisman or your catalyst from the second floor.
There is an old saying in my family. Thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know.
As soon as you land in Firelink Shrine, head straight down to New Londo Ruins and grab these 2 transient curses from the jar? From the jar. Anyway, use the curses to kill these 2 ghosts. It's not mandatory to kill them, but since the ghosts can fly through solid objects, they're going to follow you down the narrow path you need to go down. Head down the narrow path and quit out when you reach the end to not get ganked by the ghosts. And now you have a free Firekeeper soul, before you've even stepped foot in the undead burg. Give the soul to the Firekeeper. Easy +1. Nice.
Well now, you seem to have your wits about you, hmm?
Play through as normal, reach the undead merchant, and buy as many firebombs as you can, as we'll need them throughout the run. Alongside the firebombs, grab a reinforced club and some arrows. Pick up these firebombs from this chest, and if you've brought the residence key, grab the gold pine resin. Now, the taurus demon isn't a difficult fight to begin with, but I thought I'd share that you can use the gold pine resin on the reinforced club to pretty much delete the demon from the game, in a matter of seconds. If you hate dealing with the poison rats underneath the hellkite bridge, you can actually just wait in this corner, opposite the stairs, and the hellkite will come down onto the bridge. At that point, you can run directly through its legs straight to the bonfire, without having to deal with poison rats or engage in combat with the dragon at all. From here, play through as normal, and head back to the asylum. I'm only here to pick up the rusted iron ring, but you can grab the doll as well if you intend to go to the painting. Head back to Firelink Shrine and go straight down into the catacombs. If you're using sorcery, you can jiggle in and out of the vision of this necromancer, but obviously brute force strength will work as well. The hardest part about pinwheel is getting to pinwheel, but you can actually do it with relative ease. Before the first entrance on the catacombs, you can head onto this small ledge and walk off onto this platform. Be wary that the skeletons have very clumsy AI, so they might begin to follow you down onto each relative platform, and also just be aware of these skulls. Other than that, just ensure that you're full health every time you take a drop onto the relative platforms. Picking up these souls if you'd like them, and then dropping down onto this smaller platform. When you're ready, make a beeline straight to pinwheel through the bone wheel pit, quitting out if you need to reset the AI. We're going to make use of all of those firebombs we have, prioritizing the black firebombs first. Since at this point in the game I don't have enough brute force strength to kill Pinwheel quickly, he's going to end up summoning a lot of clones. However, if you don't hard lock on, but instead mitigate your locking on, just to keep an eye on the clones behind you in case they unleash the power of the heavens upon your back, Pinwheel will go down without much issue. He only has 2 attacks, so he's not difficult at any point in the game, which is why I'm going for the Rite of Kindling this early on. Oh my god, I just died the pinwheel. I hate my life. You now have access to the Rite of Kindling, which allows you to kindle any bonfire you'd like up to plus 20 Estus flasks before you've rung either of the bells. After that, head down into Darkroot Garden via Undead Parish and pick up the Grass-Crest Shield, as we'll need it for the stamina regen. Beeline it straight to the Hydra and quit out when you reach this corner. Once you load back in, point your camera all the way up and throw all of your remaining firebombs directly at the Hydra itself. This will kill the Hydra without much effort. The reason we're using the Grass-Crest Shield is in case the Hydra comes down to swipe us, in which the stamina buff will allow our stamina to regen fast enough that we can get back into the corner. If you don't intend to free Dusk, head up the ladder and go join the Covenant of the Forest Hunters. There's also a free 5,000 souls here if you'd like them. We're joining the Covenant as this makes Shiva spawn, alongside his bodyguard who has the Duskwood Grain Ring, which is easily one of the best rings in the whole game, but I'll get more into that later. For now, you just want to aggro the NPCs in the area, after you've joined the Covenant, and then run into this corner. For whatever reason, these NPCs have terrible AI pathing when it comes to this corner directly, meaning they'll just run directly off the cliff. And surprisingly, they offer great souls in return. Combine this with the general enemies in the area, such as the bush people and the cat bear, you can easily farm your way up to 20,000 souls. And if you don't have enough, you should have picked up plenty of soul items by now, and you can always go back to the areas around Fireling Shrine. The reason why I recommend opening the door before you engage in combat with Shiva's bodyguard is because the NPC is all the way at the back of the area, where the stairs are at the front. And in Dark Souls 1, NPC aggro range isn't actually that large. This means it's just nice to have the door as a shortcut, as the bonfire is right next to it, just in case anything goes wrong, such as you get hit with his scarily long katana, or you somehow miraculously fall off the edge. Once that's done, you can quit out to reload the area. When you load back in, you'll now have the Darkwood Grain Ring. This ring changes your rolling actions. Your forward roll is now a front flip, and your back step is now a back flip. While this ring is extraordinarily good, there is a slight science behind it. In Dark Souls Remastered, your iframes depend on your equipment load, meaning the lower your equipment load, the more iframes you have. This is why you'll see a lot of players running around completely naked, with different iframes between 0% equip load to 0.83, 0.83 to 16.6, and finally 16.6 to 24.9. However, don't let this discourage you, as with enough endurance, even a player running full havel set can also ninja flip. Speaking of havel, if you ever find yourself with a need to kill him early for the havel ring, you can actually force him to kill himself. By constantly running up the stairs and to this stone wall, and then rolling off as soon as he's about to attack, Havel will roll off after you, constantly taking full damage. Do this over and over again, and you can kill Havel without ever landing a single hit on him. Full control or any sorcery is not mandatory for this cheese, and it can be done with any build. Havel aside, you now have access to Valley of the Drakes through the bonfire at the bottom of Darkroot Garden. Through Valley of the Drakes, you can get to Blighttown, where you can get the key to New Londo Ruins, opening the shortcut back to Fireling's Shrine. From here you can go to Quelaag, but I'm going to get some free souls from the Capra demon. If you let go of your movement key as you reach the top of this ladder, the player will phase on top of it, allowing you to get on top of this wall. From here, line yourself up and use the broken sword to swing your way across to the other side of the wall. Once again, line yourself up again and swing off the wall onto this pillar. You can roll off the edge, but just note, if you roll backwards towards the fog gate, the Capra demon's AI will wake up, but if you roll forwards, it will break, meaning the only thing that stays active are the dogs, as they're registered as enemies and not a boss, if that makes sense. You can kill the dogs as normal, and unleash any kind of hell you wish on the Capra demon, as he's entirely broken and won't wake up from anything. But if you do wish to fight the Capra demon normally, you can walk up to the fog gate and he will wake up. From here, go to the female merchant and buy some dung pies, as we'll need this for Ingward later. And if you need to, you can buy some moss for Blighttown. And don't forget to unlock this shortcut if you need it later. If you acquired Hidden Body from Dusk, you can use it to run right past these enemies underneath the Bell Gargoyle fight. Ring the bell as normal. Learn the best gesture in the game. And on your way to Blighttown, don't forget to give Lord Trek a big, warm hug. You can use Hidden Body again in the Poison Swamp in Blighttown to make it past these rock guys without them noticing you. Now it's time to cheese Quelaag, though this cheese is best utilized on sorcery builds or any kind of range, as you won't be able to reach her with melee. When you enter the fog gate, run towards the left side of the arena, and jump up onto this small narrow gap between the eggs. Once you're on top of the eggs, you can use sorcery or range to constantly stagger Quelaag by hitting her in her body. However, if you're not fast enough, she will use her lava attack and it will reach you up here. You can also grab a pyromancy flame without the need to save Laurentius if you allow yourself to get grabbed by one of these egg enemies. Wait 5 real-world minutes for the egg to go on your head, and then talk to Engi, who will sell you a pyromancy flame.
Incidentally, do you have an interest in pyromancy?
You can also grab Poison Mist here if you intend to get the Sunlight Maggot from Lost Izalith. Ring the second bell, and play through as normal right up until Honor Londo. If you have it, Hidden Body is also great in Honor Londo on the support beams of the cathedral, as it stops the painting guardians from running at you, meaning you can take them out with relative ease. The Painted World of Ariamis is not a large level within itself, however there are 2 skips you can perform if you just want to get there to kill Priscilla. The first one involves you running and jumping from the stairs over this wall, which lands you in the courtyard early, allowing you to open up the shortcut. The second one involves you going straight to the Dragon Bridge and walking up to this pillar, where your character will phase through the floor. Once this happens, you can turn around and walk onto an invisible platform, and then from there you can walk onto the bridge, allowing you to get to Priscilla without needing to deal with the bone wheels or the lever in the sewers. If you intend to kill Ornstein first, kill both of the giant knights in this corridor, and lure the Silver Knight all the way to the fog gate, parrying him as he attacks. This will send you through the fog gate and back out the other side, which activates the boss fight. Head back to the bonfire, making sure to not use a homeward bone, and when you enter the fog gate once again, both Ornstein and Smough will have their AI broken, where you can get a free kill on Ornstein. If you attempt to kill Smough here as to get to second phase Ornstein, it won't work, as the fight simply won't begin. If you intend to kill Smough first, unfortunately you'll just have to do the first half of the fight as normal. When Super Ornstein begins, if you head to this window by the lift, you can wait to bait out his grab attack, which will send you through the window. Ornstein actually takes a single step forward when he performs this move, so by standing close to the window, you can force Ornstein to phase through it, dropping to his death. Arno Londo is quite high in the sky, so you'll need to wait a second for Ornstein to hit the floor. While this cheese on Ornstein is fairly simple to pull off, as it only requires the player to bring the fight towards the window, just note that Ornstein doesn't always go for the grab attack, and me trying to get that footage of him phasing me through the window, that footage alone took 10 minutes to get, which is why I had to dwindle down Ornstein's health as he kept flying away from the window to use range attacks instead of the grab attack. So if you do choose to use the cheese on Ornstein, just know that he probably won't phase through the window in the first try, and you might end up dying. So in my personal opinion, while the cheese is easy and fairly simple to pull off, it's actually more efficient to fight Super Ornstein, as his moveset isn't very difficult to begin with, and due to his size, you can often just walk around his legs, as he will tend to miss most of the attacks. From the Chamber of the Princess, most players will typically walk back to Firelink Shrine, so I'm going to show you either a cheese or a skip you can perform in New Londo Ruins to get to the Four Kings. If you want to do the cheese, which involves killing Ingward, play through the level as normal, kick down this ladder and kill the two ghosts underneath so you don't get ganked by them, and when you reach the end of this path, stand here. The placement isn't precise, but just make sure you're underneath the arch. Use your bow to aim in at Ingward's head and raise your camera all the way up as high as it will go. After that, throw 3 dung pies to proc toxicity and use 2 arrows to aggro him. From there, he'll run into the fence where you can just keep headshotting him. If you don't have dung pies or a bow and arrow, you can get the dung pies from the female merchant and the bow and arrow from the undead merchant. If you want to go straight to the Four Kings from New Londo Ruins, it's very simple. All you need to do is kill these 2 ghosts at the very beginning of New Londo Ruins, and head to this conveniently placed platform. Inch yourself all the way to the very edge of the platform, and get ready to quit out as you walk off. The timing is a bit precise, so sometimes you might quit out and find yourself back on the platform instead of on the floor underneath it. Once you get the timing right, you'll be on this floor underneath. From there, you can just roll off the edge where you'll hit a kill plane, but there's actually no timing as to quitting out here, so there's no stress. From there, quit out again to erase the kill plane, and you can run directly to the Four Kings without any enemies. The lighting and the camera might get a bit buggy here, but it's nothing that's going to interrupt your gameplay. Walk through the wall. Don't worry, you will land on perfectly safe floor underneath it. There's still no rush here, so you can take your time to buff up or do anything you like. And once you're ready, just walk off this wall and you'll land directly in the abyss where you can fight the Four Kings. Unfortunately, there's no such AI break as far as I know for the Four Kings, so you'll just have to fight them normally, meaning if you die, you might have to perform the skip again if you don't have the key to the seal. The Duke's Archive skip is much easier to do with the Darkwood Grain Ring equipped, so I highly recommend it. All you need to do is play through the level as normal until you reach this lift that takes you up to the floor where Seath kills you in your initial encounter. pull the lever to go back down, roll forward and roll backwards so you end up on the edge of the lift. Unequip the ring, and when you see the first balcony, roll off the lift to land on the floor you need that will take you to the bonfire that leads into the crystal caves, where you can then go kill Seath as per normal. If you want to hit this skip consistently, because it is one of the harder ones in this video, just remember, roll off the lift when you see the first balcony. That is all, and I promise you will hit it every single time. I'm going to add this in here on the off chance that somebody doesn't really know how to approach Seath as a boss fight, which is probably no one, but you never know, there's a first time for everything. Seath is an incredibly slow moving target, so you can bully Seath to death by following one of his side tails around his body without going behind it. You can kind of see what I'm doing. If you stick to his side tail, but you don't go behind it like that, Seath will forget what it means to be a boss fight, and he's so impossibly slow that you can just, like, kill him before he can even process what's happening if you just stick to his tail. Everybody already knows this, but in case there's just, like, one person out there that doesn't, I added this in here. If you want to get the sunlight maggot, either to save Solaire or to use Entomb of the Giants, but you don't have the humanity needed to open the door, you can use Poison Mist, which will travel through the door and kill the maggot on the other side. The item it drops is permanent, meaning you can die and it won't go away, so you can get it before you go into the Bed of Chaos. If you have some range in your build, you can enter the Demon Firesage arena and run into this corner where you can bait out a slash or swing attack from the Demon Firesage. After that, run to these branches, ensuring to go the right way and not the left way, and then from there, the Demon Firesage will kind of be wedged in between two branches of the Chaos Tree, where you can kill him with pure range. I guess melee would work here, but you would just have to be wary of him attacking. We're going to give the Centipede Demon the Ornstein treatment. When you enter Centipede Demon's arena, run into this corner as to get him closer to the corner, being mindful to dodge his attacks, unlike me, who died so many times trying to get this footage. Eventually, the Centipede Demon will be close enough in the corner that he'll attempt a grab attack. When this happens, let him grab you, but mash your escape buttons. When he lets you go, he'll phase through the ceiling. Similar to Ornstein, you'll need to wait a moment for him to die. I believe this happens because in the original Dark Souls, the Centipede Demon was infamously buggy, so in the remaster, Miyazaki kind of implemented a suicide button for the demon, kind of.
Was it all a lie? Have I done this all for nothing? Oh, my dear son. What now? What should I do? My son. My dear, dear son.
Bed of Chaos remains inhostile until you attack one of her daughters, so this skip is very easy to pull off, as you can take all the time you need. Head straight down the middle towards the outer ring, where you'll count 3 squares. When you reach the 3rd square, use your bow to aim in at 2 specific parts of the branches on the left and right sides. The first one here, and the second one here. When you're ready, throw a firebomb, being sure to not move your body until after it's thrown. After that, quickly throw this second firebomb with the same thing. This will kill both of the daughters at once, meaning you can go straight down the middle without having to deal with the floor collapsing underneath you. From there, you can kill the witch herself without much hassle.
Oh, there you are. Where have you been hiding?
If you haven't quite figured out that Nito is the biggest punching bag ever, you can cheese him. Buy as many arrows as you can from the undead merchant, and use your best bow. Please do not use the longbow, it's terrible, and also kill Griggs. When you reach Nito, equip the ring you get from Griggs, and use hidden body. When you drop into the arena, be sure to dodge Nito's first attack and run up to this stalagmite. From there, Nito will literally forget you exist and you can pelt him to death with arrows, but remember to keep casting hidden body, otherwise the skeletons will find you. If that isn't your cup of tea, Nito is pretty much a giant sponge, so he will just absorb any form of damage. So pyromancy, magic, it all works fine. Nito's death animation is longer than the whole fight, I swear to God. Everybody's favorite Lord of Cinder can famously be parried to death. However, if you're looking for a different way to beat Gywn, you can try this. Hit the initial parry from the jump attack, and then similar to quelaag, we're going to get out of bounds by going to this part of his arena and jumping on top of the ash. You are not safe up here, as Gwyn's sword is very long, very hot, and Gywn, despite his age, is incredibly fast. But with enough maneuvering, you can get some range attacks on Gywn. However, beware, as sometimes Lord of Cinder himself will get stuck up here with you. When that happens, simply roll back off into bounds and stand in front of the ash, where Gywn will constantly try to attack you from the front, meaning he won't roll off as he did roll on. From there, you can pretty much take him out with any range that you have. And Lord of Cinder unfortunately goes down a joke. Once again. How many times is this now? And that is everything that I have to share for a bad player's guide to Dark Souls Remastered. But you better not do any of it on your first playthrough, because your first playthrough should be traumatizing just as much as it should be fun. These are strictly for New Game Plus and onwards. But on the other note, if you're wondering why I'm not going to cover anything in the DLC, it's because I am comically bad at the DLC. And I've only beaten it one time to begin with, so it just wouldn't be right for somebody who literally gets so frustrated at the Manus fight that they have to step away from the game for several days to tell other people how to skip or cheese the DLC, as I can't even perform a meme role, so it would just be me playing the DLC, basically. But other than that, I'm rambling. I don't really know how you close out YouTube videos. Again, this is my first ever YouTube video, but I do love Dark Souls Remastered, and I just wanted to make kind of one guide that contained the more simple, easy-ish things you can do on your second and third and fourth playthrough that kind of cut out bits of the game, because not everybody wants to do Lost Izalith 5 times over, or not everybody enjoys the Grand Archives, and you know, like, everything is subjective, so I just thought I would make a silly little guide for bad players like me. But other than that, I hope people enjoy this. I hope to make more videos about Dark Souls and From Software. I don't really know how to close out a video, so I'm just going to go now and praise the sun.
Don't you dare let yourself go hollow, lest my time spent on you be wasted.